Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Jim Stroud podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Special guest, tell us, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, Jim. Thank you for having me. My name is Abhinav. You can call me Abhi. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Peoplebox.ai. Yeah, so Peoplebox.ai, we are a Y Combinator-backed AI native talent platform that help companies hire, manage, and grow top talent all in one place. So we work with some 500 plus companies in 60 plus countries, and we have two main products. One is a very powerful talent management platform, which has performance management, compensation, career growth, surveys, calibrations, and more. And second, and at the center of it is Nova, who is our most human-like talent AI.
Mm,
It does everything from resume screening to sourcing calls to pre-screening call to deep first round interviews with coding round. And even once the employee joins, it does onboarding call, quarterly check-ins, career growth conversations. So if you can imagine that things that a software could not do, in the previous era, these very high touch, human-like conversations, be it hiring or talent management, that's what we do with Noah. So yeah, that's peoplebox.ai for you.
okay, okay. I happen to know from our previous conversations that you scaled companies from 200 to 3,000 employees at a time. What do you think typically breaks first in the hiring process?
I think in our experience, one of the most, common thing that breaks when a company grew from 200 to 2,000 is their inbound. As companies grow, they tend to become more famous. People tend to know them. They get a lot more referral. They are posting in a lot of, job boards. They got a bigger hiring team and they are just flooded with resumes. More resumes means, more interviews. And unfortunately, a lot of these inbound candidates, all thanks to LinkedIn, one-click apply, almost 80-90% of them are not a fit. And there goes your inbound, companies, especially the TA teams realize that we are spending a lot more time in screening resumes or talking to inbound candidates which are not the fit. And now it's becoming even more harder because majority of your resumes are crafted by AI, keeping the job description in mind, which is more likely to get missed or not get properly screened by human eye or even a normal ATS. So that's usually when people say is that, and I've heard this so many times. Recruitment leaders coming to me and saying that our teams prefer to spend time into sourcing, reaching out to candidates if they don't know if they are actively looking or if they're passive, rather than screen actively looking candidates and find the needle in the haystack.
Okay. Okay. That makes me curious. If you could, I don't know, redesign the whole interview process from scratch or remove all legacy systems from it and just you're starting from a clean slate, how would you go about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends on whether I have the power of AI or not. And I'm going to assume that I do. I have the power of today's and the future, very human-like, extremely contextual AI. Um, so I think one of the things that I will really go and change is that how we break the whole hiring process into multiple rounds of interview. I'll
Hmm.
try to condense them into a much longer conversation, but try to go and make it much more deeper and far more human with checking different aspects of the candidate. And the primary reason for that is because you can do that with AI. You don't really need two or three different people or two or three different round. One is a coding round, another is a some assessment or some assignment. You can do a lot of these things into one much longer conversation. But on a fundamental level, the reason, the main thing, irrespective of, AI or human, what I would go and change is going much deeper, into the candidate, the work that they have done, what they have actually done, what they have struggled, how they think, what motivates them, where do they want to go? What do they want to go and build in future? Some of the major decisions that they have taken, what has been the rationale behind it, some of the projects that they have achieved, very well at, some of the projects where they failed. I would really like to go in much deeper into that, like double click and triple click and four times click, to really understand, one is the depth of the work they have done, and secondly, like know them about more them as a human, that what really motivates them and what doesn't motivate them. At the end of the day, I'm trying to find a fit with, like the culture and the role that we have, whether they are, they aligns with that. I always say it's never about a great talent and a, not so great talent. It's about the right fit. Um, so the only way you can go and find that right fit, in my experience and opinion, is by going deeper. And having this one longer conversation would allows you to have so many different aspects of the candidate, and you can all compile it into one sort of different one sort of one compiled feedback or report, which like gives you, I would say, a very good perspective about the candidate. So on a fundamental level, I would go and do that. And like I said, that it's much easier, and it's going to be even more easier with AI, because AI can wear so many different hats. You don't really need to go and do multiple scheduling. You don't have interviews which are completely disconnected with each other. You can actually go and know a lot more about the candidate into just one longer sitting.
Let me ask you this. I'm glad you said it, longer sitting, because I know some people are listening to this and thinking, that's great. I will love to go deeper in all my interviews and so forth. But they're probably thinking about the time component. Now, how would you argue against someone that says, I would love to go deeper with a candidate and spend 30 minutes to an hour or even more to get to know them, but I just don't have that time. I have so many recs. I have so many people to talk to. What would be your counter argument to that?
Yeah, I would say that's what I would say the AI can do today. Fortunately, AI is so powerful today, which can do a great level of first line of screening. See, if you look at data, if you just
Mm,
purely look at data, the majority of time of either a recruiter or an interviewer is not going into candidates which are fit. It's going actually into candidates which are not fit. Let's take a simple example of some of these FANG companies, the top ones.
mm,
In majority of these companies, the success rate of first round interview is around 10%. I was talking to the head of recruitment of PayPal, who told me that for every one on-site interview, we have to spend 10 hours of our, like engineering leadership or marketing leadership, like, like senior interviewers' time. Now, 9 hours of them are actually gone into candidates which are rejected in the very first interview. And these are like, this is after all the proper resume screening and a pre-screening call and all, and probably maybe even a coding round interview. So
mm.
if you think about it, it's not that interviewers or recruiters don't have time. It's just that their time is going into, a large amount of their time is actually spent into talking or screening candidates which are not the fit. And that is where AI can be so powerful component. AI can actually go and find you who to talk with. They can go a great level of first level of screening, which actually gives you a small but hugely vetted candidates whom you can go and go much deeper. And the longer conversation also, Jim, that I was talking about, please
Mm.
understand that, even though some might say that, hey, we are still in the infancy of, voice AI and video AI or human-like AI, it's extremely advanced and it's only going to get smarter and smarter. So if we were to redesign an interview, which we can today because we have the power of AI, we don't have time constraint, we don't have cost, like that much of cost constraint, we don't have to worry about scheduling, and AI is available all 24/7. I would go and make my first round interview taken by AI much longer, much deeper, and have a lot more components embedded into that. For example, if it is a technical round, I would go and merge my first round interview with a coding round, which is live and interactive. It's pretty much like a expert, engineer talking to you and looking at your code and discussing it. If it is, let's suppose, a non-tech interview, then probably, I have a whiteboard open, and give a problem statement and discuss it with them, rather than breaking into two or three different rounds. So it has two benefits now. One, because AI is taking a much longer and much deeper round, which means all my recruiters and my interview panels time is saved. AI is giving you much more better profile, which means I can now spend the same amount of time on much lesser candidates, so already vetted, we already have a good report and even some suggestions of what I can ask, and I can now spend more time with them, which means much fewer rounds than before. So rather than I'm doing like 7 or 8 rounds, we're just probably doing just 3.
That's interesting. That's interesting. It makes me think too about all the data that a company sits on, all the talent data. Um, what do you think companies should focus on the most when it comes to all the data that they have? I'm speaking specifically of the talent data. You know, what do they need to look at to make better hiring decisions, or even to evaluate what good looks like inside the company?
You can see the smile on
Yeah,
my
yeah.
face as you ask the question. That's because it's one of my most favorite topics, something that I'm really, really passionate about. And that's
Mm,
one of the things we are trying to go and change. And with the advent of AI and data, it's so much doable. So I'm like, I have a very strong opinion about it. I think the very first thing that every recruiter, every hiring manager, and every interviewer should look at, which probably may sound hard to do it, but it is very critical, is your performance data. Just think about any company. They've done like a 1,000, 2,000 employee company probably must have hired like maybe around the same 500 to 1,000 engineers in the past, say 5, 6 years. You know,
mm.
if any given point you ask anybody in the company, it could be the recruiter, it could be the head of talent, it could be the head of engineering, that hey, you've done this 500, you have hired 500 engineers. Do you have any insights about how many of them turn out to be great engineers? How many turn out to be not so great? Who stayed longer? Who didn't stay longer? Is there any insights which tell us that, this is what we found from the great performance versus not so great performance? And that is such a critical piece get missed. And the reason why it get missed, Jim, is because the data sits on different tools. If you think about, right, majority of the time
Mm.
your candidate data is in ATS, which is a lot of times a standalone tool.
Right.
Your performance data is also either an HRIS or a performance management tool. And even though they might be on the same tool, say they are on Workday or they're on SuccessFactors, one of the big problem with these legacy systems are that the data, despite being on the same platform, do not talk with each other. So if I just want to go and know, hey, I have interviewed 5,000 people, I've hired 500 people, at least 50 of them are still with us after 5 years. Give me some insights which will help me hire better, what questions to ask, where to look for candidates, what screening do I do, what competency should I hire for. We have looked at companies where their performance management competency of an employee, where he or she is rated very highly, is a competency that doesn't even exist in the hiring process, which means that the competency they're hiring on are not the competency where their top performers are rating high. It's such a simple thing. Once you look at both the data, you realize that, hey, in our top performers, the highest competency, let's just start embedding them in our hiring process. because they are so disconnected, companies tend on to making the same mistake again and again and again. And I know it's a hard bit, and I can like so much relate, Jim, with the life of an HR or a recruiter. There's so much manual, repetitive work. They have to screen resumes. They have to call candidates. It's like this is a very very privileged first world problem out there. But that stops today with the advent of AI. AI can actually go and do that. It can connect the data. It can, build great hiring insights. It can really change how you hire and improvises with more and more data you're getting.
Hmm.
So
Eh,
if only, and I usually go and put data into four different buckets. You have a candidate data, you have the employee data, which is sitting in HRIS, you have the performance data sitting in the performance management, and then you have the interview data. Like sometimes, you are taking, interview recordings, there are interview transcripts, they might be sitting on a SharePoint or a Google Drive or maybe Zoom folder. If somehow you are able to go and find it out, uh, connect them together and build insights, you can really make a great hiring process, both for the humans, which are your recruiters and interviewer, as well as for your digital workers, which is AI, which not only is just a, off-the-shelf AI, it's actually AI with a built-in organizational context. That's exactly what we are trying to do at Peoplebox.ai.
Interesting. As you were saying that, I was thinking that what a great um, retention tool for a recruiting team. I was imagining, what if you get inside that data and you can say that uh, John Doe, one of our recruiters, has recruited 12 people who've been with the company for 5 years, you know, and then you give them some sort of award or a bonus for every year for every person they've hired that stayed over a certain threshold. That would be an awesome. That's a hint for any
Absolutely.
TA managers listening in right now. That would be a
Absolutely.
cool
In
thing to do.
fact, if you ask me, Jim, what is our vision,
Yeah.
at Peoplebox, they're doing like very advanced, like extremely high touch human like AI. It has voice, it has video. But the outcome we are bringing is very simple. We are building a digital twin of the company's best recruiters and best interviewers. So we are
Mm,
saying you find out who your best interviewer is. And it might be, Jim for engineering and Tom for sales and maybe Amit for design.
sure.
And we are saying that you are sitting in such a gold mine of data that if you actually go and leverage in a right way, you can make a digital twin of your best recruiter and best interviewer. And it can work 24/7 for every role, for every employee, for every candidate. And that's what our vision is at Peoplebox.ai.
I like the idea of a digital twin. I actually talked about it on another episode of my podcast. How interesting it would be if, let's say, there was a digital twin of me working for a company, and I'm no longer with the company, but because they're still using my digital twin, they are paying me royalties after after I've gone. That would be that would be interesting. That'd be interesting.
That would be awesome, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a very attractive carrot to get a lot of employees to join the company for sure. Um, I see your passion for AI. I know the benefits of using AI for sure, but I do know that a lot of people, um, I know AI is a very polarizing topic for a lot of people. Some people embrace it, they love it. Other people are like, it's taking all the jobs. What do you think in the overall recruitment process should remain human no matter what, no matter how advanced AI get? Human beings should always do A, B, and C. What would those points be?
I think there are some things. Like first of all, I believe that you know while you're absolutely right that AI is a very polarizing topic and it's likely to be, for many years to come. One thing that I think almost all of us would agree is that it's here to stay. And
Yeah.
And it can be a really, really great friend. It can be an incredible friend of almost every role out there. So the one thing that I believe, and in fact, I'm already seeing that AI is going to take like quite a good bit of control over, or gonna pretty much own, is this manual, repetitive, boring stuff. Which
Hmm.
unfortunately in HR's life or a recruiter's life is there is a huge abundance of screening resumes, you know, just writing a job description, posting it on different, you know, career portals, identifying candidates, trying to send them an email. Like the one of the my like things that really hurts about it, this pre-screening questions. Where are you based? Like what's your expected salary, or like do you have a valid visa? I mean, I meet with so many, HR and talent, like obviously, I do that for a living, and they tell me that we came into this profession because we are people person. We want to go and, change people's life. Career is such a critical decision. We want to work with them. We want to guide them. We want to build rapport. We want to build human connection. And then they're so frustrated that, sometimes, 70 to 80% of time is going onto stuff which is like just back office and no interaction with humans. So all this like repeated work, which is a lot like somewhat transactional, but somewhat high touch, is going to be taken over by AI. Okay. The thing where I'm very confident that AI will not be able to beat humans, and humans will mostly lead, is building these human connections. They would be at the forefront of building rapport, either with an employee or a candidate. They would be the one who would be, talking about, the company's mission, selling that. They would be guiding the candidates through the journey. They will be evaluating culture, and, the long-term trajectory of a candidate or an employee. In the hiring case, they would always be the one who will be making the final judgment. And to a large extent, they should. When it comes to employees, a great job AI can do is to tell the manager or an HR who should you speak with. But once it is identified, you know, a employee who really need that support, either by an employee or an HR BP, your own mentor, has to be done by a human. And again, it's whether it's about mentorship, or it is about providing the guidance, or about helping any employee, just help them go through whatever struggle they are having, either office or maybe a little bit of, mix of both office and work. That's definitely will be done by, humans. And the reason, honestly, Jim, it is not done today is because they are not able to identify who to talk with. Once you get 500 candidates, nobody's going to tell you, hey, among these 500 candidates, these are the five you should talk with. For a company which had 800 employees, HRBP cannot go and talk to all 800 employees. They need some support to go and tell, hey, if you could only go and talk to these 7 employees in this month, it would make a huge difference. Your turnover would come down, your e-influence would increase. And that is what AI is going to go and do. It will do that first level of screening, or that first level of identification, both in the candidates as well as in employees, to go and help them.
So, Abhinav, I know there are probably TA managers listening or watching us on YouTube, and they may be feeling overwhelmed with everything they need to do. What's the quick tip that you could give them that they could do for maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds a day or something that'll make their work life a bit easier?
I would say that find out what is the thing that is taking most amount of the time of your TAT. It could be screening, it could be calling, it could be scheduling, it could be follow-up. Just list all those manual repetitive tasks. Identify what is the thing that is, taking the most amount of time, and use AI for that. And you're going to be amazed at how your life gets changed by that. Like embrace the technology, Candidates are already using it, so you cannot stay behind. But find out the problem first before you go and order the solution. One most critical thing that's taking, the biggest load of the time of your TA is something that you should first fix with AI.
Nice, nice. Time is flying by, and I'm sure there are more questions I could ask you that we could go on forever, but unfortunately, our time is limited. If somebody wanted to connect with you and ask additional questions or to find out about PeopleBox, for example, how could they find you online?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, which is where I'm very active. They can reach out to me or email. My email is very simple. My first name, Abhinav at Peoplebox.ai. And and I'm on Twitter as well.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being on the Jim Stroud podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Well, my time is up. I thank you for yours. I'll see you again real soon right here with a brand new episode of the Jim Stroud podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I can be reached by email at jimstroud@jimstroud.com. And one last favor, if I may ask, please rate this podcast. 5 stars is preferred, but please comment with your honest opinion. I really appreciate that. All right? Okay, until next time, bye-bye.